All right, we are back in Los Angeles. Chris Mannix, Sergio Mora. He's the fighter. I'm the writer. How's it feel to be back home, Sergio, after a full week in New York City?
I can't get no satisfaction. Like who was that? Rolling Stones?
Yes.
Mick Jagger, someone like that. I like being on the road, Mannix. I like working on the road. I like the hotel life. Yeah, man. So I can't wait for 2 weeks from now. We'll be back in Vegas. We'll be doing our thing, working out. I love what I do, Mannix. So yeah.
You love being on the road.
That too. You could say what you wanted to say.
I don't.
You could
being
say what
away
you
from
wanted-
your family. That's what I wanted to say.
Yeah, you could say what you wanted to say.
I was trying to soft pedal it.
No, you don't need a soft pedal. You know, sometimes you need a break from
Sometimes
your
you need a
closest
break.
loved ones and kids. Anyone with kids understands that. But I love being at home with them, and I love being away. Todd Grisham said it the best, our broadcast partner. He says, the two greatest feelings as a father is when you leave for work for a couple of days, and then when you come back from work a couple of days, because you get to have the break from your kids, and then you get to get reunited with your kids.
Yes.
And you now, as a father, would know that.
It was great being reunited with my son just a couple of days ago. And I had to stay on the road a little bit longer. I had to go to Boston for a couple of days. Just got back last night. It was great to see him. He's 8 weeks old today.
I'm telling you, wait till he's a little bit older and starts being a smart aleck. Then you're going to be on the road for months.
All right. All right. On this episode, we are going to get into some accusations, more accusations being made by Deontay Wilder as it relates to the fights with Tyson Fury. We're going to talk about the future of Teofimo Lopez. Does he need to make a trainer change to succeed in this next phase of his career? Got a big fight this weekend at 126. Nick Ball against Brandon Figueroa. That's over in the UK. And we had another press conference for the Keith Thurman, Sebastian Fundora fights like deja vu for a few months ago. But that fight is back on, scheduled for March 28th. We're going to talk about that as well. But we begin, Sergio, as we do every week, with our winners and our losers. Give me your winner of this past week.
I think it has to be hands down Shakur Stevenson. What we witnessed at Madison Square Garden was incredible. And it's, it makes him a 4-division world champion now. At only 25 fights, 28 years old, what he's doing is incredible. And on top of what he's doing and the accolades and everything, he's so great. It's the fact that he's taking on the biggest challenges. I mean, he's a 135-pound champion. Then he moves up to fight the 140-pound champion, and he whitewashes him. I mean, it was a one-sided fight. I think they only gave Teo 1 round. All 3 judges gave him 1 round. And it wasn't that Teofimo won that round. It was that Shakur took that round off. To go into a champion's hometown in a legendary arena, Madison Square Garden, and shut up 21,000 people, the majority being Teofimo fans, that is greatness. That is something special that we're witnessing. And this kid's just 28 years old, 4-division world champion, and the resume keeps on stacking and stacking. Shakur Stevenson, bravo. That kid is incredible, and now he etched his name with the all-time greats. Not just defensive greats, but all-time great boxers.
It was the second consecutive really impressive win for Shakur Stevenson. The win he had last summer against William Zepeda, I thought that sent a pretty strong statement because Zepeda, best offensive fighter in boxing, throws 100 punches per round. He made Shakur fight, and Shakur fought the way he had to fight to win that one. This one was the very best of the classic Shakur Stevenson, using the jab, sticking and moving, staying out of range, frustrating a very good fighter in Teofimo Lopez. I agree. It was a masterpiece that Shakur fought. And look, we'll get into down the line what could be next for him, but from 140 on down, nobody's touching Shakur Stevenson. You're going to have to get him at a higher weight against more physical fighters, longer fighters, for someone to have a chance of beating this guy. He's got a real chance of going on a kind of run where he's 30-0, 35-0, where nobody can touch him in his career. Just brilliant.
Andre Ward, great. Floyd Mayweather Jr., great.
Yep.
You only see that whenever you have those reflexes, whenever you have defense, whenever you have that amateur pedigree. I mean, that's what these guys bring to the table. You know, Andre Ward, a gold medalist, Floyd Mayweather Jr., bronze medalist. So when they have all that wealth of experience from the amateurs, they learn how to box, they learn how to fight, they learned all styles from all over the world. And then they adapt that into the pro game because not only do they have the right team around them, but they have the right environment around them where they have the right sparring partners, different type of styles. That's what makes someone be able to, extinguish the fire that a fighter brings. You know, someone that gets on the inside, someone that makes it dirty, and someone that's on the outside and athletic. Shakur has both of them.
Yeah, he's special. He's special, and I think we saw something pretty special at MSG. My winner of the week comes from the same card, Jarrell Miller. Jarrell Miller, who picked up a win over Kingsley eBay, his first win since 2023. But that was not the story of the fight.
I was there. I don't know where you're getting to.
The story of the fight was the head hair getting knocked off Jarrell Miller's head.
And that makes him a winner?
No, that doesn't make him a winner. What makes him a winner is what he did after the fact. Jarrell Miller went on the greatest post-fight media tour that I've ever seen. Jarrell Miller, over the last 5 days, has been everywhere. He was on The Breakfast Club. He was on Jimmy Kimmel. He has been on podcasts. He has been on TV shows. He has been everywhere. When I turn on a TV, like whether it's KTLA out here in LA, CNN, local stations around the country, that clip of the hair getting knocked off Jarrell Miller's head has been viral. That is everywhere. Jarrell Miller, to his credit, has taken advantage of that. He's done interviews. He's been all over the map over the last 5 days. Jarrell Miller's my big winner because, look, he got a win. Good for him. But his Q rating, his popularity has spiked because of the way he's capitalized on after the fight.
You know what? You make a great point. And because of that, it kind of makes me and Todd Grisham a winner. We're actually the commentators on that. My teacher, my friend's teacher, asked me, did I watch it? And I had to tell him, I go, yeah, it's my voice on the telecast. I'm the one that says, it's a toupee. And I'm the one that was saying this and that. But he did handle it with grace and throwing it out on the stage, still winning the fight, smiling. But the press tour, you know, they always say that, you know, even bad press is good press. I never believed that because if I'm embarrassed.
That's not even bad press, though. Like, that's leaning into a funny moment. Like, I guess he could have, been shy about it, but you and I know Jarrell Miller. That was never the way he was going to go. He was always going to lean all the way into the humor of it, and because he did that, he was able to build his brand. He is a far better known athlete now than he was this time last week.
You're right, and I didn't see it that way. I just seen the embarrassment. I seen the fact that he almost lost. I seen the fact that he didn't look good. But yeah, it has made the rounds, and I've been watching it. I've been enjoying it, and he's always had a smile through the entire thing. I think they asked him to take it off, whether it was on the Breakfast Club or on Jimmy Kimmel, and he does it.
His hat off, yeah.
And it still looks the exact same way, like he's bald.
Well, yeah, he is bald. He just has the weird, like the remnants of that toupee that was stuck on or kind of around his head like a circle.
The remnants of the hair and the residue of the glue is all around. But yeah, he's taking it in stride. And I guess because of that, you got to give him credit, and he is a winner.
Of course you do.
All right, I get it. But I wouldn't want to go through that embarrassment.
You know, my biggest whiff as a broadcaster last week was that I didn't sit down and do a one-on-one interview with the toupee. I should have interviewed the toupee.
While it was being handed around by every champion sitting front row.
Sky Nicholson had it. Fabio Wardley had it. I know it was seated by itself for a minute on the chair. We could have had more fun with that. It was great in the moment, but we probably could have had a little bit more fun with that.
Hey, shout out to Todd Grisham for ending that telecast, saying that Big Baby Miller at least won by a hair.
By a hair. That's all that matters. All right, let's do the flip side of the coin. Your loser of the week.
My loser of the week, Floyd misappropriated Money Mayweather. Dude, how do you misplace or misappropriate $340 million? I mean, look, if you're going to be flaunting the money when it's there, you better admit where it went or how you lost it when it's gone. He's trying to blame Showtime, the network. He's trying to blame Steven Espinoza, the former president. He's trying to blame everybody but himself. When you're throwing money around like that,
he's sort of blaming Al Heyman too. He's not.
I didn't see Al Heyman in part of the lawsuit.
Al Heyman was not part of the original lawsuit. There's been some reporting that maybe he could be part of a subsequent lawsuit. But if he's blaming Showtime, he's blaming Al Heyman too.
I haven't heard Al Heyman's name, but if Floyd Mayweather does mention Al Heyman in this name, that's when you know it's going to get sticky. Nobody blames Al Heyman.
No, they thank Al Heyman.
Hey, listen, I've been part of Al Heyman's. I know how well he takes care of fighters. I know how well he takes care of musicians. I know how he is as I think I know how he is as a businessman because the little that I dealt with him, he's treated me great. He's treated boxers great. And that's the reason Floyd Mayweather didn't mention him in that lawsuit. But if he plans on getting anywhere with that lawsuit, he's going to have to mention his name because he's the one that was in charge of the contracts, the money, and his career for a long time. For a long time. And if Floyd Mayweather Jr. is the first one to finally blame the great El Heyman, then he's going to open the floodgates for, I'm sure,
I don't think he'd be the
boxers.
first one to do it, but he would be the most high-profile
Who's
one
another
to do it. Didn't
boxer?
Vanes Martirosyan back in the day have some issues with...
Vanes has blamed everyone too, but Vanes didn't make...
Rest in peace, Vanes Martirosyan.
Vanes blamed everybody and he didn't make the kind of money. But Vanes and who else has blamed El?
I can't remember the top of my
Yeah,
head.
not many, man. I mean, I'm telling you, even when we have any kind of criticisms towards our career or our inactivity or anything, it's never towards Al Heyman.
This is a wild story because Floyd Mayweather was part of the two most lucrative fights in boxing history. His fight with Manny Pacquiao, which did 4.6 million pay-per-view buys, generated hundreds of millions of dollars in revenue. His fight with Conor McGregor, same type of deal, hundreds of millions of dollars in revenue. Those were like 10 years ago. Like 10 years ago, he was generating that kind of money. And if he's in a position, and look, this isn't, it's not just the lawsuit that we're talking about here. There's this whole Business Insider story that talked about the financial problems that Floyd is having. Like this would be right up there with one of the greatest examples of athletes losing money, if it's true that Floyd is this hard up at this point, because he was, and even like the exhibitions that he's been fighting since then, going over to Japan to fight the kickboxer, the Logan Paul exhibition, like he was cashing some pretty big checks back then. This is kind of crazy that Floyd may have reached this point.
We've seen it before. I mean, Mike Tyson and many others. If you're gonna live that lifestyle, if you're gonna want that attention, then it's gonna come with criticism. You know, I would recommend every boxer that's making, real big money to read Larry Holmes' autobiography. It's called Against the Odds. This man was smart with his money. He still is smart with his money, and he mentions why. He mentions why he was suing Don King. He mentions he invested in real estate early. He never got out of Pennsylvania, Eastern Pennsylvania, because he didn't need to move.
He owns like half of Eastern Pennsylvania.
He didn't need to go to Beverly Hills. He didn't need to go here and there. I was having this conversation with Devin Haney in our last trip in New York. I'll keep it personal, but Devin Haney's making a lot of money, and if he's not careful, when he's older, he's still going to be making a lot of money. But if he's not careful when he's older, and I'm telling him, hey, champ, you got to be careful about your finances. But these kids don't learn until they're older, So Floyd Mayweather Jr. is not a kid anymore. He's well into his late 40s, and finally he's pointing fingers, and it's just a terrible look.
My editor wrote a great story on Larry Holmes years and years ago, and he had a great first couple of sentences of the story. He set it up by saying, I'm in Larry Holmes' office, which is in the Larry Holmes building on Larry Holmes Drive on a river that still is inexplicably known as the Delaware. Larry Holmes owns that much of that area. And you're right. Every time he fought, at least according to Holmes and the story back in the day, every time he fought, he bought a piece of real estate.
And he read his contracts, man.
He did.
That's
he
the
would
main
call,
thing.
like I'm getting there. He would get the offer from Don King. He would say, okay. And then he would call HBO to make sure that's what the money was. And he would always make sure that he was getting the maximum amount of money, and they took that money and invested it wisely. Then he would, like in his later years, from what I was told, he would hop on helicopters in Easton, go to Atlantic City, have himself a nice little weekend because he's still making all this money.
The thing I remember when I was reading that book, he asked for an itemized list from Don King, his promoter, about what he was getting charged for.
Yep.
He got charged $15,000 for towels. That's when he knew he was getting jacked. That's when he knew he was getting robbed, because they were charging him for things in the locker room. They were charging for way too many things, and it wasn't worth that value. And that's when Larry Holmes said, nah, wait a minute, I'm going to put my foot down. Floyd Mayweather Jr., and 50 Cent touched on this on a post that he did. He said, you should have let me read your contracts, dummy. It's true. You need people to read your contracts, not only the people that are managing your career, but someone that's managing him. You always got to have someone managing your money, or else you're going to give it all away by trusting everybody else.
Buy quality real estate, rent out that real estate, get other revenue streams. Like we're not going to get into this today because I don't know enough about it, but the Golden Boy office being reportedly foreclosed on, like is anybody renting that office space up there? I don't think it's many. Like it's always been empty whenever I've been in there. There's a ring.
It's only
and
a couple blocks away.
I know. That's a crazy story in and of itself.
Why aren't we doing our podcast there?
I don't know.
There you go.
I'm doing it here.
Oscar. We're going to rent
room there.
one of your suites.
All right, my loser of the week, and this was an easy one, the WBC. Your former sanctioning body, Sergio, the sanctioning body that gave you that green belt is in the news again.
They didn't give it to me. I earned it. And yes, they're having a bad week.
You earned it. They're having a bad week, and this might be a low point for the WBC. If you missed this story, the WBC has stripped Shakur Stevenson of his 135-pound title. Now, Shakur did not fight for that belt this past weekend. He moved up 5 pounds to fight Teofimo Lopez for the WBO version of the title, the Ring Magazine version as well. We see that happen all the time. Fighters move up in weight, and usually at some point, these fighters have to make a decision about what weight they're going to stay at. Usually, sanctioning bodies do not let you hold a belt in multiple weight classes. You have to decide which one you're going to fight in. But they also usually give you a lot of time, at least a couple of weeks, sometimes a lot longer. The WBC gave Shakur Stevenson 4 days before they decided to strip him of that title. Now, Shakur Stevenson has come out and said the WBC asked for $100,000 as a sanctioning fee to be part of the fight against Teofimo Lopez. They wanted $100,000, according to Shakur, for a fight they had nothing to do with. The WBC had nothing to do with Teofimo versus Shakur. It was a WBO sanctioned bout. It was a Ring Magazine sanctioned bout. I can't for the life of me, Sergio, come up with any rational reason why Shakur Stevenson, who is already paying a sanctioning fee to the WBO because he's fighting for that belt, should have to pay the WBC $100,000. That is as crooked and shady as you can possibly get. And for the WBC to do this now, when sanctioning bodies are under attack, when the sanctioning system is under attack, this is a glaring example about why maybe they shouldn't exist. Maybe they shouldn't be in boxing if you are going to reach into the pocket of a fighter like Shakur Stevenson, ask for $100,000. According to Shakur, there's been no comment on this from the WBC. I asked for one. I talked to a member of their staff. I said, tell me what's going on here. And all I've seen is the Instagram post from the WBC saying they were stripping him. To reach into the pocket of a fighter for a fight that you have nothing to do with and asking for $100,000. I don't care how much money Shakur Stevenson made that night. That's his money. That belongs in his pocket. The WBC had nothing to do with it. It is disgusting. Disgusting that they stripped Shakur Stevenson of that belt. And Shakur would be right to never fight for a WBC belt ever again. To say, you know what, I want to win titles still. I want to be in this system, but I ain't never fighting for a WBC belt. It was, I can see no explanation that can back up the WBC decision.
No, and you're right. And you know what? As a former WBC champion, you know, I've stood up for that green belt. I've stood up for the history of that green belt. I've honored that green belt. I, to this day, am proud of being the owner of that green belt. But I have to agree with you, man. As a representative of that belt, you know, what they're doing now is ridiculous. And that's the reason, you know, fighters, young fighters, popular fighters, fighters with leverage, Shakur and many others, they're speaking up now. This has been done way back. If you remember when Ray Bolt wanted to throw it in the trash. But now, you know, fast forward, we got social media. Now we have bigger voices. Now we have these young kids that don't care about legacy. They care about money, and they care about keeping that money because they know how fast that money goes. Shakur Stevenson, credit to him. Not only have I made him my winner of the week for what he did at the Mecca at MSG, but now I'm giving him credit for speaking up because fighters, 28-year-old fighters like this, it's above their pay grade. And I'm speaking for myself here. This is above our pay grade, not only in the finances, but to articulate what we want to convey to the public, to the media, to the fans, to the promoters, and to that green belt. That's when our lawyers come in, and that's when everyone else comes in. But Shakur's doing it himself with a tweet. It's a powerful thing he's doing. It's getting a lot of attention. And Mauricio Suleiman can't explain it. And people are getting fired over it. I mean, Ricardo Solis, I gotta say, Ricardo Solis mentioned something about the WBC. He got let go.
He wrote a whole article about it.
He got let go, man. is that freedom of speech? Is that the press? Is that where we're going to come down to? I mean, we might get in trouble for talking about it now. So should we tread lightly?
No.
I
don't know what Ricardo got.
I'm not going to tread lightly because I won that belt.
Yeah.
I wanted to be against a great champion. I till this day stand for that belt. But what they're doing, what you're doing, Mauricio, what a lot of people are doing, it's not a good look. I'm not saying it's not fair because everyone needs to make a little bit of money. I know it's a business.
Yes, but why? No, but why do they have to make a little bit of money on a fight?
Because it's a business,
they had nothing to do with the fight.
I don't mind a little bit of money, but
why?
But whenever you're making,
why? You just give me one reason why a sanctioning body that has nothing to do with the fight, zero, should make any money off it.
Because it's their belt. It's their creation.
He's not fighting for the belt.
It's their belt. It's their creation.
He's not fighting for the belt.
All right, look, I'm not here to defend WBC.
Well, you kind of are. You said everybody's entitled to money. No, you're not. You're entitled to money that you work for. That's what you're entitled to.
Okay.
If you did some work for it, like Bruce Carrington pays the WBC. I get that. He wanted to be their world champion. You pay the WBC. Just because Shakur Stevenson is their world champion at 135 does not mean he owes them a red nickel for when he goes to 140 and fights that title. It was 7 months ago, Sergio, that Shakur paid the sanctioning fee to fight William Zepeda.
And that's another argument that we're going to touch on because he's one of our topics. But this right here is something I can't really defend as a boxer because I know I've paid my fees, but I wasn't making that kind of crazy money.
Yeah, but you paid your fees in the fights that you fought for a WBC title.
And it wasn't many, but
you
still.
didn't. I'm just saying you wouldn't. I don't believe for a second. Like, let's say you beat Forrest in the rematch, and you're like, I'm going to go to 160 for my next fight. And the WBC, if you were fighting for a WBA belt, and the WBC said, I want $50,000. I'm guessing you would have said, Huh? I'm not fighting for your title here. What are you talking about? Give me my money. Look, the WBC is framing this publicly as they're just following their rules. They don't have rules. And what rules they do have, they break all the time. They created the franchise championship, then it went away. They let Jermall Charlo hold on to that belt at 160 forever.
Yeah.
Forever. They didn't make David Benavidez fight Canelo because they wanted Canelo to be the champion at 168. They make and break rules all the time. So right now, they're sitting here standing by their guns saying you can't be a champion at 2 weight divisions. I don't disagree with that assessment. I think Shakur at some point would have had to have chosen, but you got to give the guy a couple of weeks. He just fought a 12-round fight in the biggest fight of his career. He's got to wake up Monday morning and decide what division he wants to keep fighting in. Get out of here with that. Get out of here.
And that's where the problem lies. See, I don't mind them sticking to the rules if they're going to be like that with everybody. But whenever you're picking and choosing what boxer, what purse they're going to really dive into or what fighter they're going to protect, I agree with you, Charlo. That's probably the main example. Canelo's a main example, but he's a popular fighter. He's a #1 pound-for-pound fighter. He generates a lot of money, a lot of attention. So maybe you can make a case. It shouldn't
matter. If there are rules, you follow the rules.
I get it, but rules are meant to be bent. Not broken,
not meant to be bent.
And for the #1 fighter in the world that's generating that type of money, maybe
What about Jermall Charlo? How do you explain that?
Well, that's a different story, and that's the reason I can't defend him.
2 years held on to that
No,
belt.
that's the reason I can't defend him. And for a kid to attempt greatness, going from 135 to 140 to pick up that belt, and all of a sudden, not even a week goes by, and you want to strip him for being great, for daring to be great, for accomplishing greatness, and then you want to fine him on greatness? That's BS.
Sanctioning bodies, like, they are under siege, and their response is to pull the pin on a grenade and blow themselves up. Wild. All right, let's get into the main topics of the show. And I want to start.
You got me all flustered now, man.
Well, it's just something that bothers me too. I want to start with Deontay Wilder, who he's out there, man. Deontay Wilder's over in the UK this week promoting his upcoming fight against Derek Chisora. I think that's a good fight. I actually have no idea who really wins that fight, so I'm kind of intrigued by that fight. But Deontay, over the last couple of days, has reopened the can on his accusations towards Tyson Fury, calling Tyson Fury a cheater, reiterating that he thought his drinks one of those nights was spiked. I believe he went after Jack Reese, the referee from the first fight, and blamed Reese's slow count on white supremacy, which was insane. Over in the UK, though, Simon Jordan, commentator over there, did something I really respected. Like, he did not just sit there and let Deontay Wilder get away with his comments unchallenged. Take a listen to some of the stuff that Simon Jordan had to say.
I wanted to move you on to Tyson Fury.
We don't want to talk about him.
No, you're going to.
We're here about
No, but you're going to.
We're not going to talk about him
at
all.
But as part
we're
of
not going to talk about him at all. Understand that?
No, fair enough.
All right, then. So let's move on. It's all about Derek Chisora, and that's it.
I understand that. The
only back, baby. Y'all understand that? You better be. April the 4th is going down.
The only reason
at the O2, you better be there.
Fabulous.
You'll be a square.
The only reason I mentioned it is because it's part of the shtick that goes with you. And I missed you first time round when you came in here 3 years ago, when you were in your pomp 4 years ago doing Bomb Squad and all that sort of stuff. And I've always wanted to have a conversation with you because you've made observations about Fury. I have my own views on Fury. And you've called him a cheat. And it leads me
the biggest in boxing.
Yeah, but it leads me to a conclusion.
Biggest in boxing. If somebody practicing, taking their stuff out of their gloves in training, what you think they're going to do in the fight?
Yeah, but...
That's all I got to say about that,
I want to put something to you about you, right? And Fury just happens to be the hook for it.
That's all I got to say about him.
You talked about being cheated in that fight. You talked about water being spiked. You talked about your Game of Thrones outfit being too heavy for you.
I didn't say that.
You said it was too heavy for you.
I didn't say that.
Okay, well I might be wrong on that one. You talked about the long.
Y'all took a journalist that said something because y'all, everybody wanted to come in. Oh, wow, boom, boom, boom.
You talked about a long count, right? And then you talked about the trainers, Mark Breland not being good enough.
No, I ain't say he wasn't good enough.
So what I'm asking you in all of this is, it sounds to me, given the character that you are, that's like a little bit flaky. You lost those fights, and those fights were lost. And you saying that someone like Fury cheated you in those fights, I think is kind of disappointing to me about you.
Because I know the truth. I have the facts.
Okay.
Understand that. Because when the documentary and everything, the story come out, I'm going to show every thing.
Fantastic.
I'm going to get all the people that know and all the people that's in the inside. He got people that the inside of him. They're going to know. I don't give a about that.
I'm not a Fury fan.
I don't give a about it. I said we didn't want to bring him up in the first place. It ain't got to do with him.
Fair enough.
Sergio, this Wilder stuff is just crazy, man. It's just crazy. Like, he lost. He lost 2 fights against Tyson Fury. There was nothing wrong with the count from Jack Reese in the first fight. In fact, that was one of the great referee moments in boxing history. What do you make of him spouting off all these conspiracy theories years later about Tyson Fury?
He can't handle losing, and that's what happens when a bully gets beat. I mean, at the point where Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury had that incredible first fight and then ended up having a trilogy, that was I was there. I was there at that fight. It was magic. Tyson Fury goes down in the 9th. He went down into the 12th. You think he's out on his feet. Wilder's going to continue the reputation as the biggest, baddest, hardest puncher, because he is still one of the hardest punchers in history. And it would have continued the legacy of Deontay the bronze bomber Wilder. But Fury got up. Fury got up like the damn Undertaker and closed the show with a draw. Then he comes back and knocks him out. Then he comes back and seals the deal in the trilogy and knocks him out again. That ruined Deontay Wilder. Because one, Deontay Wilder got a late start. He wasn't refined with his tools and his technique. He had none. He just had a big Alabama right hand. And this dude was mean. He was spiteful. He was confident. But once that confidence went out the window by getting, checked, by getting bully checked by a guy, Tyson Fury, that aura goes out the window, and that mindset of invincibility goes out the window. Punchers don't have, they don't have a second gear. I shouldn't say second gear. Well, I can't say second gear. They don't have more than a power. That's why I love fighting punchers. My trainer loved training me against punchers, because once that power is not enough, they don't have nothing to defend on. They don't have footwork. They don't have defense. They don't have body movement. They don't even have good technique. The biggest punchers in boxing aren't brave either. The biggest punchers in boxing, once they get chin checked, they don't know how to react, because they've been doing the chin checking all their life. That's bully mentality, and that's what happened to Deontay Wilder when he's been knocking out everybody in sight. And I'm talking about knocked out, not on their feet, just knocked out. And then all of a sudden, this Tyson Fury gets up like the damn Undertaker and then knocks you out. That's it. You're gone. You're not going to be the same again. And Deontay Wilder's ego is so fragile, and it happens to a lot of punchers too. His ego is so fragile that he doesn't know how to handle it, because it has nothing to do with being a fighter. It has everything to do with being a man. That's where he's lacking. He's lacking character. He's lacking emotional intelligence. He's lacking a lot of education. He's lacking a lot of a lot of things that he shouldn't be saying. He should be acting differently. He could still be making a lot of money if he just comes at it the right way. If he does it, you know what? I got my ass whooped by this guy. He was the better man that night. Let me move on because I'm the better man moving forward against so-and-so, 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 and so-and-so, which he is. But that one man had your number. Give him the credit and move on. Deontay Wilder can't do that. That's a lack of character.
Yeah, I mean, he has not offered any evidence that leads to you to believe that Tyson Fury did anything illegal that night. He's been showing some videos of Fury's glove kind of flopping where it looks like he's throwing a hook, but it's kind of slapping at him there. But these are just, I don't know what to make of these videos. All I know is that those last two fights were fought in Nevada. The Nevada Commission is among the most experienced commissions in all of boxing. I have a hard time believing that the Nevada Commission, that somehow Fury was able to evade the Nevada Commission and pull some of the padding out of his gloves, like Wilder has suggested, did something with his wraps, like Wilder has suggested, just manipulated the glove, the wrap, everything to do with his hands on that fight night. Similarly, I've seen no evidence that his drink was spiked. You know, Simon Jordan brought up that Wilder blamed the outfit he wore in that, was it the second fight?
I'm counting your excuses. There's 4 already.
I mean, like I don't know if Wilder did. He said it was too heavy. Yeah, it was a heavy outfit that night. I mean, he lost.
There's more.
Simple as that. I know there's more, but I'm just going to stop there. He lost. I don't get why he's continuing to go down this rabbit hole. Just move on. Keep your career going if you can. You beat Derek Chisora. You're probably going to get another big fight. I'm just astonished that we're still sitting here in early 2026 talking about these conspiracy theories. He says he's got some documentary coming out. Let's see it. Let's see the evidence that you got. This is like one of those Mike Lindell, My Pillow documentaries that are bound to come out. And
he also blamed Mark Breland. He was a great amateur boxer. He was a former world champion, hell of a trainer. How do you blame a good man like that went through what you have gone through? He had the highs of the highs, Mark Breland, and he's also had the lows of the lows and losing and getting knocked out and not amounting to what you should have amounted. But it's okay. A lot of fighters go through that. But he has character. He knows how to come back from that.
And Mark Breland took the heat from Wilder for stopping that fight. Yeah. Well, he stopped the fight. No, he took the heat from Wilder for stopping the fight in the second fight when Wilder was taking a beating and was going to get viciously knocked out.
And he owned up to it, man. And you know, sometimes it happens at the spur of the moment. You know, you sometimes make a decision where it's kind of, I should have made a different decision, but you own up to it. What Deontay Wilder's doing, and I watched that podcast that you're talking about. As soon as I mentioned Fury's name, he just started getting defensive, and he started getting angry, and then he started, cussing. Then he got up. That has nothing to do with the podcaster who was kind of trying to antagonize him.
Yeah, he's not trying to antagonize. Up until that point, Deontay.
You know how you handle that? Like a man. Well, Deontay Wilder says, "Look, I'm not here to talk about that. I'm here to talk about this man that's right next to you."
Yeah, but I don't think it's fair to say you're not here to talk about that when all you've been doing is talking about that, including during that Ring Magazine podcast where his statements went largely unchecked. If you're just you can't just forum shop. If you're sitting there on that desk with someone like Simon Jordan, who you know is going to be direct. I don't think Simon would call himself a journalist, but he's a commentator that is known for being direct with these subjects or the people that he's talking to. I don't think you can just punt on it. You can't pick and choose when you're going to talk about a particular topic. If you open that can of worms up and you go over to the UK after saying Tyson Fury is a cheat, you got to expect UK broadcasters to bring that up and want to unpack it.
Hey, listen, man, I hear you. It goes to show you that's how it is. Whenever you're the number one target, you also become a public enemy once you open up the can of worms. Mike Tyson's a perfect example of that. How many interviews has Mike Tyson been in where he retaliates towards the interviewee? He starts acting crazy once they ask one personal question, one sensitive topic.
Yeah, but that's different. To me, that's different because Tyson generally doesn't want to talk about that stuff. Yeah. Like he's not like it was just days earlier on that Ring podcast that that Wilder brought up all this stuff and was talking about all these conspiracy theories one more time. You go over to the UK, you got to expect it. You got to expect that you're going to be challenged on these particular opinions. And he didn't like it. I think he's got to get past it, man. He's got to get
He's
past it.
not going to get past that. He's a 40-year-old man.
I don't know. I'm just
He's
saying.
not going to get past it. That's who he is, and that's who he's going to rely on and moving forward. And if he's not going to continue much of his career like this, but if he plans on having a resurgence, even at 40 years old, if he wants to channel his inner George Foreman, then he needs to just look himself in the mirror and be like, okay, look, I'm acting like a fool. I realize that I'm the problem here. Let me just shut up and let my fist do the talking instead of my mouth, embarrassing me in front of everybody.
You get a couple of wins, maybe you can challenge Fury again.
Yeah, man, there's still a lot of money on the table. When you're a big puncher, you already solidified your name. He's one of the biggest punchers in boxing, Maddox. Yeah. If one of the biggest power punchers in professional boxing history, there's your reputation. That's how you salvage it. So just shut up, knock some dudes out, go back and fight, Anthony Joshua, or make a boatload of money, but you have to shut up and you have to do more fighting than talking if you're Bomb Squad Wilder.
All right. Let's talk about another guy that's having a tough week, and that is Teofimo Lopez Sr., the father / trainer, father trainer of Teofimo, who has taken a lot of heat over the last couple of days for a couple of reasons. One, he did not have a great performance as a trainer. His instructions during that fight with Shakur Stevenson were vague at best and more like encouragement at worst. And in the aftermath, he has done some interviews where he has basically absolved himself of all the blame. Said, my son didn't listen to me. Said, people wanted my son to lose. They were in his head. It's easy to get into my son's head. He has had a really, really tough week as a trainer and, frankly, as a father to a degree, with how he's not really backed up his son in the aftermath of that fight. We saw Shakur Stevenson said recently that when he went into the medical room, Teofimo was there by himself. Yeah. That's not a good look. I know Keith Conley, the manager, said he was there at one point, but I have not. Look, I would say this, even in the ring after the fight, when I did the post-fight interview, I didn't see Teofimo Sr. in there. I don't know how quickly he got out, but I think he got out pretty quickly. He was not there standing with his son in the aftermath of that performance. Now the question becomes, where does Teofimo go from now? He's talked about moving up to welterweight. I'm going to put that on the shelf for now. But the reality is, a lot of people, smart people, have said that Teofimo Lopez needs to find a new trainer. Do you agree with that? Do you think that Teofimo needs to break up with his father as his trainer?
I'm an advocate for never leaving your day one, but I'm going to break my own rule. Yes, he should leave his trainer, not his father. He should leave his trainer because that dynamic is toxic. And everyone's seen it. It's on camera. It's been recorded so many times. That relationship is toxic. And it's if Teofimo Lopez wants to become something great, he's going to have to do it with his father being the second or third voice down the line. It can't be the main one, man. Senior's already embarrassed you too many times. Senior's already let you down too many times. Senior, on tape, couldn't tell you what to do in one of the biggest fights in your career. He couldn't give you real detailed ABC instructions on what to do and how to do it against Shakur. He basically was a cheerleader. Go out there, punch him in the face, man. What's wrong with you? Any parent can do that. It takes a coach to instruct you. It takes a great trainer to tell you how to do it or how to attempt to do it, but not just being a damn, voice, a cheerleader, someone that's criticizing you. That's only going to bring a fighter down, especially if that fighter's your son, because that son is going to be reminded of all those admonishments that he's been having since he was a little kid. And that's when the kid comes out of that man, and then you don't respect yourself as a champion and you don't respect your trainer as your father. And that's why that dynamic can go sour so quick. So for this case, Mannix, even though I tell you never leave your day one, not only in boxing, but in life, don't leave your day one if you grew together, you became great together, if you accomplish your dreams together, you got to have that person in your life for life. Somehow, some way. They got to be in your life somehow. So for this case, leave Senior, man. Give him a secondary job, but not your head trainer.
It's got to be on Senior to be willing to accept that. I think he's done a great job taking his son to this point. Whatever you think of him, he was among the architects of game plans that beat Vasily Lomachenko and Josh Taylor. So he's got some coaching chops, but his son has reached a ceiling with him as the head trainer. And if he wants to continue to be involved with his son, he's got to come to the understanding that he's got to take a back seat. The kind of understanding that Henry Garcia came to early in Ryan Garcia's career when he was 17, 18-0, and he realized he had taken him as far as he could. Virgil Ortiz Sr., same kind of situation, trained his son for a long time. Eventually, they went to Robert Garcia. It's helped raise Virgil up another level. Eddie Reynoso helped raise Ryan Garcia up another level. If you're a father and a trainer, you've got to know when it's time. You've got to know when it's time, because this isn't about you. Like, it's not about you finding success. This is about your son finding success. Teofimo Lopez is 28 years old. He should have years left in his boxing career, and he should be able to do it under the guidance of a trainer that knows a little bit more and can take the kid a little bit further. Like, if they go back to working together, it's going to be more of the same. It's going to be more encouragement and, you know, it kind of laughs behind the scenes. Like, it's not a professional operation right now, and that's what Senior, I think, has to realize. He can absolutely still be a part of his son's training team. He could absolutely still be in the corner. Henry Garcia was in the corner when Reynoso was training him. Virgil Ortiz Sr. in the corner when Virgil. I'm sure there's plenty of others that I'm not jumping off the top. Devin Haney's different. His father is the head trainer, and I don't think they've reached that ceiling yet. But Devin Haney, what he's done is during interim training camps, has brought other trainers in. Guys like Ben Davison, guys and others that have been part of his team. But I don't think they've plateaued with Bill Haney as the trainer. They have plateaued with Teofimo Sr. as the trainer. I mean, you're now at kind of that crossroads where you're talking about moving up in weight, you're talking about taking on tougher, bigger opponents. You've got to have better voices in your corner. And I think Teofimo Lopez Sr. has to realize that.
Teofimo Lopez Jr. has made some difficult decisions in his life. Good ones, bad ones, but he's already gone through some adversity inside the ring and outside the ring. In his personal life, I'm talking about Junior. This is another one of those hurdles in his personal life that's going to sting. It's going to hurt, but it's going to have to be made if he wants to progress as a fighter and as a man moving forward. You're right. He's 28. He's there.
He's in his prime. His athletic prime.
I won my world title at 28. I was in my absolute prime at 28. Men, fighters, athletes, they're hitting their prime later and later. 30, 31. That's when their man strength comes in, their confidence, their maturity, all of the above. Teofimo Lopez Jr. Needs to do that. He needs to realize there's different chapters in life, and he's left his father's, behind. That chapter's closed, man. Move on. Not as a father, as a trainer. Just as a trainer, because you've failed. You've come up short, and you have someone to blame, and it's always your father. It always has to be your father. And for this one, I think father needs to understand that too. He should man up as well. I think Senior should man up and be like, hey, I failed my son more than once. I need to step aside because I think I might be part of the issue as well. So bring another voice and bring another legitimate trainer and make yourself the second, third voice and be there as a father and forget about being the main trainer because you're not it.
Yeah. I think he's got some hard choices to make over the next couple of months as he thinks about what's next for his career. All right, last thing. Let's talk about the fight this weekend. Nick Ball against Brandon Figueroa, 126-pound title on the line. Brandon Figueroa is interesting. Like, if this was like 2 years ago, I might have been more bullish on his chances to win this fight. That was after he had that life and death fight with Stephen Fulton at 122 pounds, had a few wins after that, beat Carlos Castro, beat some other guys. Then he moves up to 126. He fights Stephen Fulton, and he doesn't look great. Didn't look great in that fight at all. Stephen Fulton won a decisive decision against Figueroa that night. Has won one fight since then, beat Joet Gonzalez, and now here he is challenging Nick Ball. Obviously, Figueroa, huge size advantage. Everybody's got a huge size advantage at 126 over Nick Ball, but it's like 6-7 inches in reach. Do you think Brandon Figueroa can knock off Nick Ball?
Yes, and I'll tell you why. The reason Stephen Fulton had Brandon Figueroa's number not once but twice is because Fulton was a boxer-puncher. He was more of a boxer than a puncher, and he shifted. He never stood in front of Figueroa. Figueroa is a tall fighter, almost like 5'10", I think, 5'9.5". And at that weight division, he's going to tower over opponents by 5, 6, maybe even 7 inches. Nick Ball's 5'2". He has no choice but to get on the inside. He has zero choice. That's plan A, B, and C. Figueroa has different plans. He can use his height. He can use his reach. He can get on the inside and fight and bang out with you. Or he can do what he always does. Smother opponents. He suffocates opponents. And with those long arms, and he's an excellent body puncher from that height, it's kind of a novelty. You're not accustomed to seeing that. You're not accustomed to seeing that. So I think Nick Ball on the inside is going to be in trouble. And on the outside, certainly he's going to be in trouble.
You think Nick Ball on the inside is going to be in trouble? I think Nick Ball's aggressiveness is going to be a lot for Figueroa to handle.
Brandon Figueroa has made a career as a tall fighter fighting small. And a lot of these fighters that have done that, Sebastian Fundora was one of them. Antonio Margarito. I always bring up Margarito because I grew up with Margarito, and he was always towering over welterweights, and he was always punching down at them. So he always had that advantage of being tall, volume puncher, strong, punching down at opponents. And whenever you're a sniper, shooting down, it's an easier target than a fighter, shooting up. So Nick Ball is good with guys that at eye level. Yes, he can loop the shots over the top when you're dealing with taller fighters. But whenever you have a guy that suffocates you and doesn't let you breathe and is always in front of your face, and then he can get back and fight tall, but then also get on the inside and fight small, you're fighting two different styles. Nick Ball is just accustomed to being, a wrecking ball on the inside, and he's damn good at doing it. He's an excellent wrecking ball. But what's the thing that holds a wrecking ball? That's a crane, right?
Yep.
He's dealing with a crane in Figueroa.
Well, that's the thing. Like, I think Figueroa, look, Nick Ball is aggressive, but I think he can be outboxed. We've seen that sort of happen in previous fights. I mean, Ray Vargas had his moments against Nick Ball. That fight was that a draw? I think it was. And then who was the over in Saudi Arabia? Ray Ford. We haven't seen Ray Ford in a while. Ray Ford had some great moments in that fight as well. I think if you're going to beat Nick Ball, you got to stay on the outside, man. Just stick and move. And I'm wondering if Brandon Figueroa, A, to your point, is comfortable doing that, and B, does he have the conditioning to do it? Because Nick Ball puts pressure on you from the opening bell to the last bell. He is going to be going at you, trying to muck it up, trying to make it physical. I don't like the idea of Figueroa fighting him on the inside. I don't. I think Nick Ball is going to win those exchanges. I think if I see Figueroa using that size, using that reach, using the entirety of the ring, he has a chance to make it look easy. Like if you just, box on the outside. When Vargas fought Nick Ball, and Vargas is, I think, around the same size, maybe taller than Figueroa. Like early on, he was having a lot of success using that reach, using that length. He just ran out of gas, if I remember correctly, in that fight. I wonder if Figueroa has the same, if he's got a gas tank, and if he's able to fight on the outside, he has a chance to make this kind of look easy.
Ray Vargas is taller than Figueroa, I think by 1 inch. And that you just proved my point right there. Vargas just tried to stay on the outside. He didn't really try to just, he didn't alternate his game plans. Figueroa would confuse you because he can be mostly on the inside, but then if he starts getting hit, he goes on the outside a little bit, resets, and then goes back in. And for a tall fighter to be a great body puncher, it's something you don't see that often. When you're an extremely tall, thin, wiry fighter, and then you're on the inside throwing uppercuts and body shots and taking a big shot. That's another thing about Figueroa. He takes an excellent shot. That right there dispirits short fighters that are accustomed to just, wearing down tall fighters. They chop down that tree, right? That's the analogy. But this damn tree can take a lot of, hacks. And Figueroa keeps coming until, you wear out your damn axe. And that's how Figueroa and a lot of these tough, tall fighters end up beating these shorter, tougher fighters. They just, all right, give me what you got. I'm gonna outdo you. And that's how I think he outdoes Nick Ball. And I think the fact that the resume also, they have similar, pretty good resumes, but I like Figueroa's better because he's dealt with punchers, movers, and boxers, and tall and short. They both have good resumes, but I like Figueroa's better. So,
yeah, Figueroa has recent wins over Carlos Castro, Mark Magsayo, Jesse Magdaleno, and more recently, Joet Gonzalez.
Luis Netti's in there, I think.
Luis Netti's in there before. Yeah, that was the fight before.
Excellent name right there.
Yeah, some solid fighters up there. I think it's interesting. You're picking Figueroa to win.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I think he
can he get a decision over in the UK?
That's the
in
thing.
Nick Ball's
that's
backyard.
The thing. I was about to say, you read my mind, Mannix. I think he needs a knockout to win.
Okay.
And I think he gets it.
All right. You heard it here first. Figueroa to win by knockout. I'm taking Nick Ball, by the way.